How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Finding the Middle. I am your host, Kevin Cancela, as always, bringing you a new and cool episode. Today, we have a lot to talk about, but before we even start, I want you to do a few things for me that will help me a lot in the channels, either on YouTube, Spotify, or even on Instagram. So you could definitely follow on Instagram. You can also subscribe on Spotify and on YouTube. There's also the notification bell. Hit that so you know when the next episode drops. Generally, I put stuff on Wednesday for comic books and definitely on Sunday for some news and then some stuff for nostalgia purposes. So if you guys enjoy my content, make sure to do those things in order to be able to support the channel, because at the end of the day, that's the only way that this channel will grow. If it's you guys enjoy it and if you guys are able to subscribe and share the content. Okay, so let's start with some news that happened this week. As you guys know, Netflix had a deal with Warner Brothers, or at least they had won the bid to do negotiations with them to buy the Warner Brothers. Netflix did. And I kind of feel bad for Sarandos right now because of the whole thing that's occurred. I think it was on Thursday night or like early on Friday, where basically Paramount upped their bid, even though they've tried multiple times ever since the Netflix stuff. Very petty of them, but like ever since Netflix won the bid, they continued to make offers to Warner Brothers in order to get the negotiation and get the whole IPs that they have, because they really wanted to buy Warner Brothers. But anyways, what is going to happen now? So this deal will close in the next 7 to 14 months. That is the general consensus of people talking about the internet about this specific situation. Anyways, that is the general consensus of people talking in the internet about the situation, is that in the next 7 to 14 months, the whole thing will be resolved and Paramount will officially be merged with Warner Brothers. Now, what would that mean for Warner Brothers and HBO Max? One of the things that they talked about is how HBO Max will just get absorbed into Paramount Plus, and I think that has some bad things and then some things that may be good that I'm just questioning myself whether or not it's good or not. So, starting off with the HBO Max situation, having HBO Max absorbed is very controversial, and then also kind of sad, because HBO Max is the HBO product in television. If you're talking prime television, you gotta see that HBO is definitely the best at doing shows. They are the top, they are the best, and whoever doesn't agree with that, I don't know what you're smoking, man. Like, HBO shows are so high quality, so well made. It's just something that whenever you sit down and watch something from HBO, you know you're going to get some kind of quality in that show. And getting it absorbed is, like, at the end of the day, kind of sad, because we're going to lose the name that essentially brought us Game of Thrones, The Last of Us, among other things also. Like, it's just crazy to me to think that such a big and prominent name in television will just get absorbed by Paramount. So on the other hand, I do hope that, however, even if the name gets lost, that they'll be able to keep that formula that HBO currently has to get those shows and elevate the shows that they have at Paramount Plus and rise them up, like rise them to that level. Because Paramount Plus doesn't necessarily have the best original shows, to be honest. They're not even in the top 4 for me to just keep my subscription in there. They, even their IPs, some of them have like completely fall off the rails in the last couple of years. So it's definitely one of my concerns. Hopefully we'll see some movement with Transformers, maybe with Star Trek, or even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am kind of sad that they shelved that project of The Last Ronin, because The Last Ronin, at the end of the day, is one of the best stories that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has come up with. But I do feel like Paramount is scared that they might lose their younger audience, because since it's so hardcore, since it's so adult based, The Last Ronin, I'm pretty sure they're whoever is the person that is giving them advice is probably like, hey, if you put this out there, you might run into the situation that some parents might see it and be like, hey, I don't want my kids watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anymore. And that is probably a concern because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right now, it's very aimed at the younger audience. I mean, you could see Mutant Mayhem, which is probably like the best description of that. You can see anything that they've put out in Nickelodeon in recent years. All those stuff, even the Saturday morning adventures are very, very aimed at younger audience. They do have a comic book run that is more adult-ish, but even if it's adult-ish, it's not crazy, a super adulty like the Last Ronin. The Last Ronin is probably the hardest rated, higher rated product from the Ninja Turtles. So I wonder what they're going to do with that. I wonder if they're going to take advantage of this also and bring a Transformers show that they were talking about for the Energon universe, which would be amazing to get an animated show that is aimed at adults, and also what they're going to do with Star Trek, because Star Trek has failed miserably in the last decade or so into bringing younger audiences. I feel so bad for Star Trek because I am somebody who has genuinely tried to get into Star Trek, but there's just so much, and there's shows. It's not movies. There's shows. Some of them are movies, but the vast majority of them is shows, and they have not put out anything recent that has driven me into watching them because their world is so vast right now, and that I don't feel that there's an entry point anywhere. And then I am somebody who enjoys like chronological order, so I want to watch things in a way that makes sense. But then again, they haven't been able to bring in something to just attract younger audiences. And maybe I am wrong. Maybe you think differently, but you let me know in the comments, because at least I think that Star Wars has done a better job at them. Even though they've put out some questionable things over the past 10 years, I feel like Star Wars has done a way better job in bringing in younger audiences than Star Trek has in the past 10 years. But that is something that is completely up to you, and you can let me know in the comments below. So yeah, that's basically what's going on with Paramount. Again, with the Warner Brothers stuff, they're going to acquire a lot of stuff. They're going to acquire Harry Potter. They're going to acquire Looney Tunes. They're going to acquire DC, which is the biggest thing also that people were talking about. Like, how is Paramount going to handle DC in the way that it is right now? Because whenever a merger happens, there are a lot of people get fired, and it's sad to see people lose their jobs and stuff because of mergers and stuff like that. But it's something that is going to happen eventually. So I just hope that they conserve the DC studios how it is, and that they don't try to do any funny business with it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I kind of feel bad for Netflix because Netflix has grown so much from what they started. They wanted to get into the movie business in theatrical stuff, and it's kind of it would have been so nice for them to be able to win this bid and just close the deal with Warner Brothers, and just get them in the door of theatrical, because I feel that is the next step for Netflix, just opening a their theatrical branch, because they didn't want to get into theatrical, and then they were like, okay, we're going to use Warner Brothers as that pivot point into theatrical. That is just something that I hope that in the future Netflix gets to do. But for now, we just have to make peace with the fact that Paramount won the bid. So we'll see what happens in the next 7 months. We'll see what happens in the next year. We'll see how things are running over there, because like I said before, it will take about 7 months to even 14 months before we get something from there. So that would be it for the Paramount stuff. So now let's jump into the second topic that I have, which is Resident Evil Requiem. So I'm not going to take a long time in this because most of it is very new. So last Friday, Resident Evil Requiem released. And this would be the 9th, it will be like Resident Evil 9. That's what the number, unless they just want to call it Requiem, because like there's so many Resident Evil games. But anyways, this one came out, and you can play as two characters. You can play as Leon Kennedy, then you can play as Grace. So I hadn't heard anything bad about the game, and I hadn't heard anything good about the game. So I was a little bit concerned. So I took it upon myself to browse the web and see what other people were saying about the game. And believe it or not, their reviews are freaking phenomenal. They are good. Most of them are giving it an 8 out of 10 on the game. There's some issues here and there, but generally it's been super well received. And that is awesome. One of the things that really caught my eye about the whole review is that the game is about 11 hours to 16 hours, depending on how you're playing it, how different, depending on difficulty and all this stuff. But this just proves what I said a previous couple of videos ago, where like games don't need to be 70 hours long. Games don't need to be 48 hours long. If you can get a nice cohesive story in 16 hours and get that playthrough running, that will be awesome. Because at the end of the day, when you have games that are aimed at adults, most of us adults have fucking lives. We have places to be. And I appreciate a studio that is able to bring in a great game like Resident Evil Requiem and put it in an 11 to 16 hour like game. That's awesome. That for me is golden. Like, I love the fact that the game is short, and this just proves that games don't need to be long in order to be good. All you need is a good game. Like, length doesn't have anything to do with how good a game is or not. You know, the only thing that does is just exploration, looking around, just wasting time in a video game when you can be playing so many others. And that's another thing. The amount of games that we get nowadays from like Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, you like spending 78 hours, 72 hours on a game, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, like knowing that there's so many other games that you also want to put your hands on. And that is something that, again, I'm going to say it again, I appreciate it very much, the fact that this game is short. The number one thing that fans were definitely praising was the fact that the game had awesome graphics. The cinematics looked awesome. The pacing of the game was good. The way everything was just looking in detail is just top notch, top notch, top notch. They also were praising the fact that the game was phenomenal at not only giving horror fans what they like, but also action fans. As you guys know, Resident Evil has shifted over the past 20 years, 15 years, whatever it is that they've been on. It has shifted a lot from survival horror to action, back to survival horror, and now they did what they needed to do a long ass time ago, is bring an experience that is on par and level between survival horror and action packed. Since you're able to play as Leon and as Grace, you get the faster pace with Leon being more action, and when you're at Grace levels, you get that more Resident Evil 7 and 8 vibe of, hey, you're getting chased by the boss and you are essentially surviving and trying to survive, and resources are scarce and all that stuff. So like, I appreciate the fact that they were able to combine in a single game the two experiences that people from both sides love, because one side is not wrong. Resident Evil shouldn't be all horror, survival horror, and it shouldn't be all action packed. You can have both elements in one game cohesively in a way that just makes sense and that is good for the consumer. And they managed to do this in this game. So, saying that, this is probably a game that I will purchase before it goes on sale. I don't know how quick, but definitely something that I will purchase pretty soon, because one of the reasons why I don't purchase necessarily games right off the bat is because I want to see reviews on whether or not I can wait for the discount whenever it goes on sale, or playing it on launch. And reviews like this are the ones that will push me into buying a game when it actually comes out. So again, I appreciate the fact that Requiem did its job at just pleasing both audiences from survival horror and horror action, you know? So that is basically what I wanted to talk about Resident Evil Requiem. So we've gotten into the main topic of today's episode, and it is Digimon and Pokemon. Which one's better? Which one do you think it's better? For me, I think Digimon is way better than Pokemon, and it's extremely underrated, and it's also forgotten by many. I am not here to talk down on Pokemon. I am here to just put some light into Digimon, what it is, how it came to be and why I think it's just better for me. This is just a personal experience. This is not the truth. I don't expect people to think like me. I don't even expect people to agree with me. On the contrary, I made this video knowing that I was probably going to get some heat from all of you guys who are Pokemon fans saying, you're crazy. I don't know what you're doing. You guys, Digimon sucks or whatever it is. But let's talk it. Let's talk about it. So, as you guys know, Digimon came after Pokemon. Pokemon began as basically this concept of, hey, catching. The creator loved to catch bugs when he was a kid. So he basically took that inspiration and created the Pokemon and catching them in the stages and all this stuff. Now, Digimon, on the other hand, came as a spinoff from the Tamagotchis. So if you guys don't know what a Tamagotchi is this little device that had a animal companion in there that you had to feed in order for it to grow, and if you didn't feed him he would die. And it's kind of, the concept was really cool because it was essentially a digital partner that you had, and that is what Digimon is. Digimon stands for digital monsters, and it actually came after Pokemon. Now there's a lot of people asking why, like, I'm so like not surprised, but like I thought for a second, why didn't Pokemon sue Digimon? But it's mainly because Digimon is very distinct from what Pokemon is. Even though they share that mon at the end, they are not the same thing at all. Yes, they have companions, but they're two distinct things. They are very different. The way they evolve is different. The characters are different. The whole concept is different. The world threat is different. Everything on each is very, very different. Well, then, Kevin, why are you comparing them? I am just comparing it because they came on the same time. They have enough to be able to compare, but not enough to be and say, oh, they stole the idea, because that's not what happened. So let's start with the characters, So on one hand, you have Ash and Pikachu. On the other side, you have Tai, Matt, Sora, Issy, Mimi, TK, Joey. So you have like 7 different characters on one side, and that's not even counting the partners, which would be like Agumon, Gabumon, and so on and so forth. There's so many characters, Patamon. There's just so many characters on Digimon and compared to Pokemon. If we're going to talk about strictly Indigo League, then you have also Misty and Brock. But the issue with Pokemon is that as seasons go on and new seasons come out, the cast rotates a little bit. You do have Ash with Misty and Brock, but then you have him with other rotating cast of characters. So it's not always the same thing. Not that Digimon is always the same thing, but you do have a character growth, because when you jump into Digimon Tri, you see them again older now as adults. You also see TK and Tai's sister on Digimon Adventure So 2, which is, the continuation, and they do grow. And that is something that Digimon is very distinct in when it comes to how they also are very distinct apart from Pokemon, is that Pokemon is a very episodic experience. The characters don't really grow. Ash doesn't really grow at all. And then Digimon, the characters do grow, mature, and they also have a lot of internal struggles. And that's just another thing that I wanted to talk about. So Pokemon is very straightforward and simple. You get Pokemons, you get the human world. They're only living cohesively in the same world. You have Ash motivations, which is to be the best trainer there is, to a lot of competitiveness in him, a lot of, hey, I am the best, or I want to be the best, a lot of I cannot lose, and trying to learn how to lose. So there's things of Ash that it's his character arc is mainly about learning how to be humble. Essentially, that's mainly his character arc. It's, I want to be the best, but he needs to learn also about how he can't always win, about friendship. He needs to learn about humility. Ash really goes into a self-discovery path of who he is, who he wants to be, and who he is as a person. Sorry. Whereas the Digidestined, or the kids from Digimon, their character arcs are very different from just, hey, I want to be the very best. Is it's leadership, it's responsibility. Like Ty, for example. There's also Matt, who's dealing with loneliness in his plays in his identity other than being the older brother. There's also Sora, who deals with how she feels unloved by her mom. There's also Izzy with his curiosity and dealing with the fact that he found out that he was adopted. TK is the younger brother, so he feels like he has something to prove. There's so many characters in here. Mimi, she's very self-centered. She needs to learn how to work, how to not be so self-centered. She needs to learn how to care for others other than herself. There's Joey also, who is the oldest one in the group, and he also feels fear and responsibility for the group because he is the oldest. So there are many characters here and many different internal struggles in each of these characters, and that adds depth, which is something that Pokemon lacks. Pokemon does not have the same amount of depth that Digimon has. Another thing also is that you can turn Pokemon on episode 15, 30, whatever it is, and you will see it as a fun little adventure of this kid that goes around with Pikachu. Another adventure episode. So they all feel kind of like fillers. So they're not essential to the story. You can watch any episode, tune in anytime, and you can still enjoy the episode. And that is something, don't get me wrong, that's something that I can appreciate from Pokemon. But then I also appreciate the fact that I get a more complex and character-driven story and a storyline with Digimon. Because you cannot turn in episode 30 on Digimon and expect to understand what's going on, because by episode 30, they are already in the human world. They're not all in the freaking Digi world. So that is definitely something that I do appreciate. I appreciate from both perspectives. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on Pokemon for being too simplistic. Simplistic is good, especially at that young age where you're not really understanding a bunch of stuff. I enjoy Digimon more as an adult now because there are characters, stories that maybe as a kid I didn't understand. You know, I enjoy Pokemon for being simplistic, but I also enjoy Digimon for giving me a more character-driven story, a more complex story. That is something that I definitely do appreciate. Now that we've talked about the kids, because that's basically all we have to talk about, the kids, let's talk about the Digimon itself and the Pokemon itself. Everybody loves Pikachu. Pikachu is the face of Pokemon. And and he's so cute. You know, he's the one Pokemon that never wanted to evolve, you know? So, like, it's fun seeing him on screen. Is fun seeing him as a statue, as a toy, because he's in everything. This guy is in everything. He is the face of Pokemon, and he has been branded correctly. On the other hand, you have Agumon, which is you could make the argument that Agumon is the Digimon and Pikachu is the Pokemon, which I can see that. I can see both Gabumon and Agumon being the main center of the Digimon, and then Pikachu being the main character in Pokemon as the Pokemon, you know? But anyways, the Digimon, one of the things that I really love about Digimons were their evolutions. Their evolutions were very drastically different, other than the, like, for example, Greymon and Metal Greymon, which is just Greymon with a metal skull. So there's a few things in Digimon that there were not super like big differences in evolution, but I definitely did appreciate how monstrous the Digimon looked, whereas the Pokemon were more I don't know, they look more on the cuter side, like they looked nice and stuff, but like Digimon were actually more monstrous, you know? So I definitely do appreciate that from both sides. So for example, Pokemon, they had basic stage 1, stage 2, and rarely you would see somebody exceeding that, but normally there's only 3 stages. The It's very rare to see a Pokemon that went past that. Whereas in the Digimon, you had baby in training, rookie, champion, ultimate, and then you also had mega. So you had more evolutions in Digimon than what you had in Pokemon, which made it more interesting to look and see where was the other character going to evolve to. Another thing is also that Pokemons are generally like whenever they evolve forever. It's not like Digimon where like whenever they evolve, they go down to whenever they're finished whatever they're doing, they go down, they can devolve on those and then evolve back again. Guess it also depends on whether or not they feel threatened, what's their personality. It also depends on food. If Digimon is not well fed, he can't freaking evolve. The environment also plays a factor. But like it's more complex. The Digi evolution is way more complex than the Pokemon evolution. Like it or not, that is just the truth. And another thing that I really liked it because I was thinking about this is also how some Digimon will evolve into this humanoid Digimon type of stuff, right? And apparently, like the Digimon who evolve into some kind of humanoid are more like they represent more like wisdom and growth and all this stuff, while like the more beastly they looked, there was like the more raw power that they basically are like essentially giving out, you know? So that's definitely one of the things that I enjoyed about Pokemon and enjoyed about Digimon. Again, Pokemon being more linear in that aspect of it is more linear, more straightforward, more simple. Digimon can get kind of all over the place, but at the same time, it's good to keep seeing more and more and more evolutions than just seeing three or two evolutions and then that's it, you know? Funny enough, just found out that Pokemon had about 1025 Pokemon while Digimon had 1400. So I actually thought that it was the other way around where like Pokemon would have more Pokemon than Digimon species, you know? So like that's actually something that I just found out and it's just cool to point out, you know. Another thing that I feel like Digimon did a lot better genuinely is just build the world, the threats and the stakes. So the world of Digimon, this is two distinct worlds. So in Digimon, you had the digital world. Then you have the Digimon bleeding into the regular human world. Then as time goes on, you have the self-awareness of people knowing that Digimons are around, how does society like develop with them, and then also you have video games like the new Time Stranger video game where like the government is literally having an agency that deals with this stuff, so like the government gets involved. There's more to it than Pokemon steady and simple world of, hey, this is what it is. It's very simple, we all live cohesively, and then we all, the Pokemon people is just like, we're going to be, in gyms, training, whatever it is, and then the regions or whatever. So it's way simpler on the Pokemon side than it is on the Digimon side. And again, that is just a fact. That is just factual. Because at the end of the day, one of the things that I appreciate is having this world building and consequences, and there are a lot of repercussions when the Digimon start to bleed into the human world. There's a lot of repercussions that come from that. And as the series has gone on over time and pulled out more seasons, you see more and more things that have changed in the world. And that is something that I definitely do appreciate about Digimon. Now here is where like the things, here's where here's where I have to take a loss. I know for a fact that Pokemon has done a better way at branding than Digimon did. It's obvious and it's a fact. So when was the last time that you went into a store and you saw a Digimon shirt? When was the last time that you walked into the mall and just saw something of Pokemon? I guarantee you that you have seen way more Pokemon stuff over the last 30 days than Digimon stuff. And it's because Digimon is not really out there anymore, whereas Pokemon is just in your face constantly, And that is mainly one of the reasons why I never got into Pokemon in the first place when I was a kid. It's just everywhere. It was in my face. I felt like I was getting shoved through my nose and stuff. The kids were kind of weird about it too, and I was like, I don't. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like it. I'm gonna go and watch something different. And I ended up finding Digimon, and I ended up liking it. So, and I don't mean weird in a offensive way. I just thought that they were weird in a sense of, hey, you have all these kids that were just playing basketball, playing softball, playing baseball, all this stuff, and then you have the corner kids over there with their cards and they're not doing anything else. And that was just, for me as a kid, it was just weird. So, anyways, that is definitely one of the things that they've done very well. Their marketing, they're putting apparel out there and doing collaborations with stores. The video games have done great with Nintendo, whether I want to admit it or not. They've actually done really good. The toys, you don't see toys of Digimon out there. You only see toys of Pokemon out there. Cards I mean, you guys try to get a pack right now. It's almost impossible. You can't get it anywhere. And it's that part is kind of annoying. But yeah, and then collectibles, I feel like both have done really good with statues and stuff like that. But the one thing that I will say is that I personally appreciate better the Digimon games than the Pokemon games, because the Pokemon games, one of the things that I hate about the Pokemon games is how they don't have voice acting. And I don't particularly want to get a game where I have to read all the time. That's why when I bought Scarlet and Violet, because I bought both games, I was super bummed out that I had to read so much. And I was like, I am not going to get into this game. So I ended up just never playing it again. I did not play anything else because the first hour, I would say, or 2 hours of that game is just you like super clicking the next, like for the button for the next, to pass that freaking conversation because you don't even care. And the Digimon game on the other side, they're running into more of the RPG. You get Pokemon, you get only 4 attacks. Here you get 8 attacks. Their character traits, depending on those, that will also affect on what type of character you're gonna get on in terms of evolutions and stuff. Because the evolution is not as straightforward as Pokemon is, where you know that Pikachu will get to Raichu and like that. It's not like that in Digimon, where like it used to be like that, but now in the game it's not like that. So that brings a little bit of gambling into the situation. So that's definitely one of the things that I liked about Pokemon. And then sometimes some of the things that I liked about Digimon. I feel like Digimon, they don't have toys, that they need to do a better job with their putting stuff out there. Although I've seen some, it's not like I'm not seeing any Digimon stuff out there. I'm just saying, like, I'm not seeing Digimon merchandise as much as I am seeing Pokemon merchandise. And realistically speaking, up to a couple of months ago, I only saw Pokemon stuff. So that is definitely one of the things that I wanted to talk about. And now let me jump into this. Another thing that I do, like, oh my God. So now that I've talked about this and I've given my honest opinion about like Pokemon and Digimon, I just kind of want to mention something. So when I was growing up, I watched Digimon Adventures 1 and 2. I also saw, Frontiers. I loved Frontiers for some reason. And then there's a crazy thing about it is that people don't really like Frontiers. But I mean, like, if you look at the dude, like, look at the freaking theme song of Digimon Frontiers. It's just freaking amazing. But anyway, speaking of that, that's another thing that we could do. It's just like, which theme song do you think which theme song do you guys think that really sounds best between the Pokemon and Digimon one? So let's go here. Let's listen to both of them and see which song actually sounds better. I am curious to know what you guys think. So we have, oh my God, what do you want? What do you want from me, woman? I don't want the Google certificate. Anyways, let's see this. So I think that Pokemon theme song is actually really iconic too. I just, for some reason, I really like better the Digimon one. But anyways, let's listen to this real quick. Let's share this and listen to this banger.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Oh, you're my best friend.
That is definitely one of the most iconic theme songs I've seen and heard. It's just definitely one of those theme songs that just grow up with you. And like I really like it, dude. Like it's like I don't have anything bad to say about that theme song. It's just awesome. Now let's see this one because this one I really do like it. And for some reason, these theme song, every time I hear it, the one thing that I can definitely remember, I am Greymon now. Like I like that part in particular. That is definitely the Digimon theme song. So I want to show you this scene from the movie because it is by far one of the best scenes that I've ever seen, you know? Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
You okay? Who's that? Oromon?
I'm Greymon now.
You can be whoever you want. Big guy.
Nova Flame!
Oh my god, guys, that thing every single day just gives me freaking chills. I love it. Oh my god. I remember when I watched this recently and because my kids are really getting into Digimon, but I watched it recently and this shit actually made me like tear up because like that feeling of nostalgia that you get and you just start to like actually tear up and you're like, "Oh my god, dude, why am I feeling like this?" But the one song that I definitely did like a lot, my favorite Digimon theme song is the one from Frontiers. And let me show it to you guys.
Look to the past as we head for the future to reclaim the digital world. With faith in ourselves and trust in each other, we live by the lessons we've learned. As we work towards one solution through a spirit evolution. Digimon, forever united as one. Digimon, together the battles are won. Digimon, through us let your spirit evolve. We're all for one world, there's a world for us all. If we're all for one world, there's a world for us all. Digimon.
Dude, I still get so happy when I see this. Anyways, guys, dude, like I love that theme song. That definitely brings memories. And yeah, guys, I mean, let me know what you guys really think about Digimon and Pokemon. Put your thoughts in there in the comments below. Just really let me know, what do you think? What do you like? Which is your favorite? What are the things that you don't like maybe? So, and tell me if you agree with me or not. Like, it's completely fine to disagree. Like, we're here having a conversation and just talking with each other. As long as you're being respectful to everybody around you, you are super fine to leave whatever comments you want. But anyways, guys, that was it for today. That was the episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and like it. And as always, stay safe and see you guys on the next one.